It's strange, isn't it? How the death of a celebrity can feel so personal, even when you've never met them.
Mm-hmm.
Like a piece of, like our own story, our own youth, just sort of disappears.
Yeah.
And that feeling, that sense of loss, it's amplified when it's someone like Liam Payne, whose star burns so brightly, taken from us so young.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of you listening, Liam Payne will always be connected with One Direction.
Right.
I mean, those songs, that energy, they kind of defined a generation.
Yeah.
And while, of course, he went on to have a really successful solo career, I think it's that shared history, that connection forged during like those really formative years that makes this loss so, so deeply felt. So today we're doing a deep dive into what we know about the events leading up to Liam's death, trying to make sense of it all.
Yeah.
So let's rewind. Just a few weeks ago, Buenos Aires. Liam's social media, if you look back at it, paints this picture of someone just, enjoying life,
Right.
He's at a Neil Horan concert, laughing, connecting with fans. There are those Snapchat videos, remember?
Uh-huh.
Lovely day in Argentina, he says, in one. And then in another, he's like getting ready to go horseback riding.
Yeah.
It's these seemingly normal moments that make what we know now even tougher to process.
Yeah. It really is.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How can someone, I don't know, appear so vibrant one minute and be gone the next?
You're right. Those glimpses into Liam's life just days before, they're really poignant and jarring in retrospect. It's natural to want to go back, analyze every moment, look for any sign of what was coming.
Right.
But we have to remember, social media, it's just a curated view.
Yeah.
It's a highlight reel, not the full picture, never the full picture.
That's a good point. We can't let assumptions and speculation, take over.
Right.
We have to focus on the facts. So let's do that. Let's shift to that night in Buenos Aires, to Liam's hotel room.
Okay.
The transcript of the 911 call from the hotel, it paints a really chaotic picture and frankly terrifying. You can hear the panic in the hotel manager's voice as they're describing Liam as, quote, overwhelmed with drugs and alcohol. Tearing the whole room apart, they said. The manager couldn't even get into the room and tells the operator that they think the guest's life is at risk. It's chilling. It gives you a sense of the terror in those moments.
Yeah.
The helplessness.
What really gets me about that call is the urgency, the sheer desperation. You can tell they were witnessing a mental health emergency.
Right.
It was spiraling completely out of control. This wasn't someone just letting off steam.
No.
This was a cry for help, and it went unanswered.
It's just heavy, and it makes you want to go back and look for the why, like what led to that breaking point. And, Liam, he was pretty open about his struggles over the years.
He was.
Talking about mental health, substance abuse, even using his music to kind of work through it all.
Yeah.
He talked about the pressure of fame, especially, the kind of fame that hit him so young. He was practically a kid.
Yeah.
Growing up in the spotlight like that, I can't even imagine.
It's tough, Well, that kind of pressure, that constant scrutiny, it's hard enough to deal with as an adult.
Right.
But imagine navigating that on top of just being a teenager, trying to figure yourself out with the whole world watching.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It can be a recipe for disaster, leading to, unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And it's not like these young stars are always given the tools to deal with it.
Right. Exactly. It's this reminder, that behind the smiles, the perfect photos, there are real people dealing with real stuff. Liam was really open about his journey, though.
Right.
He talked about, getting treatment, finding help, even his sobriety more recently.
Yeah.
I remember he even said in an interview, I think it was a few months ago, that he didn't need those things anymore.
Right.
But what does that even mean,
Well, it's hard to say for sure.
Addiction is complex.
Yeah.
It's not just a physical thing, right? It's emotional pain. It's filling a void.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about, underlying mental health issues. And recovery, it's not linear. It's ups and downs, setbacks. Sometimes, even when it looks like someone's doing okay, the fight's still going on inside.
It's heartbreaking to think he might have still been battling even while sharing his story, trying to be so strong for everyone. And yet, alongside all of this, the police reports that night, there's this other side
Right.
of just love and loss, the tributes, they've just been pouring in.
Yeah, from everywhere.
Fans, other musicians, Paris Hilton, Ronnie Wood, the Backstreet Boys, even Dermot O'Leary, Zed, people he'd met, worked with, everyone. It speaks to the impact he had.
It does. And, it really highlights this strange thing we do.
What's that?
How we idolize and yet misunderstand celebrities at the same time.
Yeah, explain that. We put them on these pedestals, project our own, fantasies onto them.
Right.
But we forget, they have struggles too. They're human, just like us.
It's a tough thing to balance, isn't it?
It really is.
Seeing the talent, the impact, but remembering the person behind it all. I mean, it makes you think, right?
It really does.
About the expectations, the pressure, especially in the age of social media.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like we forget they're human beings.
Yeah.
With their own struggles, just trying to live their lives.
It's easy to get caught up in the image, the persona, the perfectly curated online presence.
Right.
But Liam's passing, I think it sparked something important.
Yeah.
A conversation about the pressures of fame, about mental health, about compassion.
You said earlier that Liam's legacy would be, well, complicated. What do you think, what do you think people will remember most about him?
His talent, for sure. I mean, that voice, the way he connected with people, that's going to stay with us. But I also think it'll be his honesty, his willingness to talk about his struggles, to be so open about addiction, about mental health. That takes courage.
It does.
He could have hidden it, but he used his platform to, to break down those walls, to let others know they're not alone.
It's a good reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
That we never really know what someone's going through, even when it seems like they have it all. And for anyone listening, who might be struggling right now, please know you're not alone.
There is help out there.
We've included some resources in the episode description. Don't hesitate to reach out. It's a sign of strength to ask for help, not weakness.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up this deep dive, this conversation, one question keeps coming back to me.
Yeah.
How can we be more aware of each other's humanity? Especially, those we admire from a distance. How do we look past the surface and really connect with empathy and understanding?
It's a good question. Really important one.
It's a challenge for all of us to be more present, more understanding in a world that often feels so focused on appearances.
I think so too.
To everyone who loved Liam, we send our deepest condolences. And to you, our listeners, thank you for joining us for this conversation. It was tough, but important.
It really was.